to the show with your friend and mine. So tell me, Dr. Squee, who's it gonna be this time? We like to hear you talk, but we love to hear you listen. And if you are not subscribed, you won't know what you're missing. So welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Headphones up. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. I'm Dr. Squee and this is my show coming to you as both a preview to Squee Fest and it also closes Squee Fest. So as we're recording today, it is 2 days before I go through my 24-hour marathon. As you're watching this on the second coming edition, then I will have completed it and I'll look worse than I do now. So that'll be fun. Anyway, I am tonight joined by a TikTok star. He's amassed nearly 8 million followers. He's a fellow LARPer and he's gone through a journey of asexuality and we're going to talk about all of it. Please welcome to the Dr. Squee Show, TikTok Jesus.
Hello there.
Not every day I get to welcome Jesus to the stream, but it's a pleasure to do so.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I just need your divine powers. I've got some nerve pain, so like, because you're TikTok Jesus, I imagine you can put it just down the internet, yeah?
I just do the sort of body cries holy blessing and see if that does any good.
It's better. It's probably
Better
about better
nothing,
than it's at least quicker than anything I'll get on the NHS anyway.
To be fair, yeah.
You see, you even do the point a bit like, Christ-like. So, sir, I'm going to ask you a question now, and it is relevant. I'm not just asking this to be like whatever, but how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
30.
30. You see, I think it's those 15 years, which mean TikTok makes sense to you straight off the bat. It's like,
Yeah.
I remember when there was kind of a mono social media. Yeah, this is going to be old mansplaining to me, by the way, for anyone watching. But I remember when it was like, it was Facebook, and Facebook sort of did everything. And then we splintered off apps, so everything does one particular thing. And I think like TikTok comes out of that because it kind of like, it found that space of something no one was doing. How have you found kind of social media? Like, how did you kind of first get into it, and how did it kind of evolve to this amazing success you've had, sir?
So from the start, so let's say on TikTok, where that really began, I was never really trying to be like the TikTok Jesus as such. I was just using it for like just cosplay stuff. I was just throwing out random stuff as it is. I'd actually started the Jesus stuff outside of social media. I was actually doing it at Comic-Con. Back 2017 was actually when I first originally started doing it. My friends been like basically bullying me into doing it, and eventually I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it for a day here and there. And what's the rule with language on this podcast, by the way?
Oh, let it rip. Like, oh, by the way, there might be language in this podcast. There you go. You see, we're covered.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to explain like why it kind of took off at first without some bad language there, because on the day where I actually did,
usually on the show I don't mind, but it's like, I mean, for the charity thing, I'm just going to put up kind of when there's going to be swearing involved. So like we're currently, I feel like we're in my kind of zone at the moment. Once at the end of Squee Fest, we've now given them a warning, so we're covered either way. And by the way, guys, you can donate through the link up in the top corner to a wonderful cause, the Alcent charity. Sorry, sir, you go.
So on the day when I was at Comic-Con on the Friday, basically, just sort of get it out of the way, Danny Filth from the band Cradle of Filth was there signing. And for those who don't know, Cradle of Filth are basically a black metal band, and they were quite known for having a t-shirt design in which on the back it said Jesus is a cunt. And this kind of
we can write with the C word. Like it.
Yeah. So this kind of like blew up on the internet a little bit because there was a photo of Jesus guy at Bloodstock Metal Music Festival, dressed as Jesus, next to somebody with this t-shirt design. You just say like, and it's gone around the internet like so many times. So the vocalist of that band was there signing for whatever reason, and I just thought like, I've got to meet him now. I'm literally in the costume. I can't not. So I met him. I had a photo with him doing the same kind of thing, actually. And he shared that photo on like every like social media page the band had.
Wow.
And so that kind of started off with this whole doing it for Comic-Con wise, but then 2019-ish was when I actually joined TikTok, just for cosplay generally, and it was kind of the same story all over again. My friends and that sort of like pestering me into doing Jesus. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it for a bit. And so I did it, and it kind of took off a lot better than I realized it would. So I thought, all right, do one or two more. Next thing you know, I'm just known as that guy on TikTok who does Jesus. Eventually it kind of shortened to TikTok Jesus, and it's like, all right, let's just go with that then. But most of my growth, however, was actually during the lockdown, where a lot of content creators, we had a lot more time to make content. A lot of non-creators were referring to content creators for that constant entertainment. So a lot of us creators pretty much thrived in that time, to be honest. And
yeah.
so yeah, there was the comedic Jesus stuff. There was also the LGBTQ plus supportive content as well, which at first for a while I was actually kind of worried that people were going to think I was just sort of using LGBT for like views and likes and stuff. But no, I never got that actually. All I ever got was people happy that I was actually using that platform to speak on those matters. And once we came out of lockdown, I went back to Comic-Con, which I was going to stop going to actually because of money-wise. But I went there thinking, okay, you know what? Why not go in the Jesus costume? Maybe get a few photos here and there. Oh yes, I got photos, but it wasn't just the photos. It was a lot of people who recognised me and were big fans of my content, taking the time to express how much that content meant to them. And by the end of the day, it just broke me, to be honest. I was like, wow, it's never realized how much content meant to people in that sort of sense. So
yeah, it was a similar sort of thing with I've been hosting Comic-Cons for years now, and there was the first one after I'd been after I'd found out that I most likely had ADHD before I was diagnosed. And there was a guy backstage who was talking to a couple of Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor Who's companions, Fraser Hines and Wendy Padbury, who played Jamie and Victoria. And they were chatting, and he said, it's like, oh, you know what? Like, he was dressed as the second Doctor, and he said, you know what? Watching you guys in your era of Doctor Who got me through some really troubled times at school. I want to commit suicide, but watching Doctor Who just kept me going. It's like the kindness, the spirit of it, the curiosity, all this kind of stuff he was talking about. And so when I went on stage, I was like, yeah, I should be bringing up this stuff. And it happened to be Neurodivergent Celebration Week. And so I said to them, I go, that is Neurodivergent Celebration Week. I recently found out I'm most likely neurodivergent myself. Someone was just telling me backstage what it meant to them to watch your Doctor Who. Kind of, how does it feel to have people coming up to you and asking those kind of questions? And they gave a really lovely answer. But afterwards, I've never had so many people coming up to me afterwards and saying, it's like, hey, it's my first time here. I'm going to come back again because you made me feel really seen. Hey, it's really nice to have that mentioned up there. And the guy goes like, no, I didn't know you were going to mention that. Like, and I purposely didn't give any giveaway details because I didn't want anyone to feel like I'd stolen their story, basically. But used it as a sort of more of an allegory. But it's just, there's nothing better than that feeling of when you feel like you've kind of made people feel seen. Like I imagine.
Yeah, it's the fact that the work you've done has really made a difference to other people, essentially. Like, a couple of years ago, I had somebody come up to me at Birmingham Comic-Con saying that my content encouraged him to come out to his parents, and it just wow, like that's big for them. I didn't quite know how to respond to that, but it's wow. And that's one person who actually had the chance to tell me as well. Like,
and it's the kind of same thing, which I was kind of like, which you were saying earlier, which I feel about sometimes, because I really want to celebrate LGBTQ. However, I am not. And it's like, you want to be careful that it doesn't sound like you're being exploitative. Like when I was talking to you, I sent you like the blurb I was going to do. It's like, I was like, is this okay that I say that? I know you talk about it, but like, can I mention it? Like, it's just, you get so worried you're going to offend someone by accident. You over kind of, I think,
I think to be fair, like it's easy to worry about that sort of stuff, but I think it takes a fair bit to really actually upset people like that. I mean, years ago, I worked for like a bit of a charity group, and they were using like the rainbow flag and the profile picture and all, talk about inclusivity, and kind of backfired when they were putting people's pronouns in their posts and stuff. And one of our people asked to not refer to them as she, her. They wanted to go by they, them. Their response was that they'd rather not because they don't want to get too political. Like, I beg your pardon. Just so yeah, that backfired because like yeah, you talk about being inclusive and all LGBTQ plus, but you won't let somebody identify by they them. It's like
yeah, it's like when
yeah.
people don't understand why some of us don't think it's a great idea that the health minister, what do they call it, health secretary in America, wants to cure autism. I mean,
God.
thanks, but we're good. We feel like we're already kind of pretty well cured. Like, did you want to cure Einstein? Because everyone's like pretty sure he had autism. It's like there's even I don't know if they tested his brain, but I've even learned recently about kind of like neurodivergent brains. You have like one lobe which is slightly bigger and one which is slightly smaller. So like
yeah,
and I forget which.
his lobe was 15% larger than the average male. I think that was the case.
And there's another one which is a bit smaller. So it's like some things we're not so great at, or you know, typically we tend not to be so great at. I'm trying not to generalize. If I do, by the way, guys, I understand it's not everyone. It's the same as like not all men. I don't mean all men, except for like we've got a reason why we might be a bit more pedantic about that because words matter to the neurodivergent community a little more than some. I was having a very big conversation about this earlier because I don't have small ones. But it's like yeah, but it's like with the LGBTQ thing. I found myself earlier because I did the post about our chat, and I was going, it's like, hey, look, you know, I know I've been really crap about the Pride Month. It's really nice to have someone who's LGBTQ. And then my mind for the rest of the afternoon was going through. It's like, oh, actually, I think you'll find like you had a trans person, a gay person, and then you find you're listing people, which is not cool. And then and it's just you go into the spiral like. Because I'm always ever careful of what I say because so many times someone will be mad at me and I just don't get why. Like I it's not ever been my to say what they think I've said.
Yeah, it's like I've tried to do sort of like education on things here and there, but it's like I try and be careful what I put out there because even if it's just a simple accident, I don't want to be responsible for somebody taking misinformation and taking that further on essentially. So
yeah. And you don't want to sound like
a platform like mine. There'll be some people that wouldn't question it.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like I'm excusing. Like if I've said something wrong, I own it. Like I want to do better, but just know check if I'm doing it on purpose. Is all I ask people. It's like I just use words wrong sometimes. Getting back to yourself though, sir. So was it kind of like overnight then the growth? Did you do anything to kind of cultivate that? Or was it just like thanks to Danny and the Comic-Cons, that's like it just grew from there?
Yeah, I think I found because like originally at Comic-Con, I was a bit reluctant to doing it because I thought it was at the wrong sort of time, sort of place for doing that. No, because I'd never seen people doing Jesus cosplays like at Comic-Con. There might have been, I just hadn't seen them, and I just thought it was the wrong place for it. But I actually had a lot more fun than I realized, and it was kind of like one of my sort of starting points of realizing that at Comic-Con with cosplay, I've had the most fun with cosplays that took the least time and effort to do than those I spent a lot of time and money on. Like I've had a whole like Mandalorian sort of suit I did once, and I have barely worn that anywhere. But I've done like Jesus, a simple robe and a toga piece. I've done Miguel from Road to El Dorado, which was quite an easy one to do. And I've had the most fun with those ones. I look at the ones I spent the most money on. I think like, how many times have I actually worn those compared to the simple ones I've had the most fun with? I go around Comic-Con with like Jesus and a baseball bat, and then just like sort of bonk people here and there. Like the amount I can do like for content.
Negan Jesus.
Cosplayers. Yeah. Pretty much like the amount like you could just do for a laugh. So how would Jesus interact with these characters? It doesn't make sense, but in a weird way, like no one would question it. It's just some meme like fun essentially. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I end up getting a 2 for 1. Like, sorry, your t-shirts reminded me. I end up doing a 2 for 1 at a Comic Con because I came to Sci-Fi Weekend, one of the ones I host out. I was in Superman outfit. That's why you reminded me of it. I sort of realized partway through the evening this thing rode up, and I did not want to be non-family safe in a family event, even in the evenings. I just like there was only so much adjusting one can do. It's so I went away, got changed, and I literally just started wearing these glasses, and they were the black rimmed ones. And so yeah, I just put on a shirt which was about like a jacket. And I was like, look, has anyone seen my buddy Superman? Everyone keeps on saying we look alike. It's bull. We're not the same guy, which I just want to be clear about. It's great 2 for 1. But yeah, getting back like on the Comic Con of it all though, yeah, there is something really lovely because I think it is kind of the UN of people who feel disenfranchised. So I think there is things like, of course, there's going to be some people who will be offended by your cosplay on one angle or another, but I feel like almost like a Jesus can rise there without too much scrutiny.
Yeah, I thought that might have been an issue, really, but like I have almost never had that issue in person. Like I get it online all the time, but it's always like the overly conservative, like American kind of people that just hate watching at this point, and they're utter nut jobs. But like you barely find them in this country. Like they are here, but you won't really find them at Comic-Con of all places. So I just haven't really had that issue.
Do you have any favorite nut job kind of like emails?
I mean, I get death threats all the time.
You see, they're not funny though. There's a sort of sweet spot where they like try and logically defend why they're kind of bigoted, why kind of the fact that they're religious means that you can't wear that outfit. It's like I just love the absurd arguments. They're the most fun ones.
They're so easy to shrug off at this point. It's like you think like I want to do like some more videos to talk about like to how to like handle stuff like that because like at this point where I'm at, it's like with the amount of like comments I've had. I mean, you get the kind of urge at first every now and then to bite back at a comment here and there, and then like the more they sort of come in, you might leave the odd one here and there because you know you've got better things to do. You might wait for a better comment. Then eventually you get more selective over which ones you even bother dealing with because after a while it's just the same old shit. There's no originality to half the insults there, and so like with me, it's like I'm at a point where like no matter how horrible the messages might be. It's like at this point, it's no different to back in the day with the Xbox 360 Call of Duty lobbies when you've got 11-year-old American kids saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck your mom. I'm gonna kill your mom." Like, yeah, sure you are. Just it's honestly for me, it's like no different at this point. Like I've had people say, "Oh, if I see you in person, oh, I've got your address. I've got this and that." Like, yeah, sure you do. And
yeah, it's. I mean, I find this kind of like this interesting thing as well, where sometimes like, I went into to look at somewhere like which is a photographers nearby would print out some posters for this. Happy to pay, but it's not the service they did. And they go, "Oh, what's it for?" By the way, explain. They go, "Oh, so now it's like autism and stuff." Go, yeah. They go, "Oh, yeah, because like it's like stuff in the water's causing more of it, isn't it?" I go, "Sorry, yeah." So it's like it's chemicals in the water. I go, "Yeah." Why do you think that? Oh, I read like saw on a YouTube thing, and he said it's like, and clearly there's more of it than there used to be when I was a kid. I go, oh, actually, it's really interesting. I like try and kill them with kindness because you can sort of tell by how much they're engaging, how much they will at least listen to you, even if they go away still being as batshit crazy. Some of them you'll reach, some of them you won't. But it's like I was going, okay, well, look, let's look at it. There is more people being tested, so you're going to find more people. And if you look at things like Bedlam and stuff, if you look at the kind of reasons why people are in there, a lot of those people would have been autistic and had these mental differences that you know you're now seeing as brand new. Like I bet there was some thickies and lazy people at your school. Oh yeah, they were probably like autistic, ADHD. Were they really distracted by butterflies and stuff? Yeah, probably like ADHD. You know, it's like, and I could hear him listening. And it's like, oh my god, I am both so happy you're listening, but so sad that you listen to this with equal note as you do a random YouTube. I even found myself saying the phrase peer-reviewed studied. It's like, why are you even bothering busting that out? Because like he's not going to think of that later when it's like Your
No,
information is just
it's
gone on a shelf with the chemicals in the water as possible explanations.
no. I was saying to a friend earlier, actually. I can't remember what we were originally talking about, but I was saying like how like in my early 20s, like, unfortunately, I kind of got a bit red pilled, as you might say, like falling for a lot of like sort of right wing media and stuff. And I think like part of the issue is like for a lot of people why they get so sucked into it is like like politics can be boring. Like there's just like left and right arguing this and that, and it's a headache trying to like keep up with both sides. And like I think with like say like right wing media, it's all about here's what the left are saying. Now here's the bit they're not telling you, and you think like you're getting this additional like knowledge,
Yeah.
is being left out in mainstream media, and you think you're getting all this additional intel without doing the actual research yourself. And it's laziness, like on one hand. So when some people are saying these like conspiracy theories about autism and all that, yeah, because they can't be bothered to actually do the research on how it actually works. It's like, oh, why are so many people more autistic these days, like compared to before? Like, okay, so how about back in the day when we were drilling holes in people's heads to cure a headache? Do you think they understood what autism was back then? It's like,
yeah, it's
like more people are getting diagnosed because we actually understand what it is. Like, there was a time when they thought that women couldn't be autistic. Whereas now we know that, yes, they absolutely can be. And so, yeah, more people are getting diagnosed for reasons like that.
And very true about the levels of BS. I would only say that it's not always equal. I know the left can be bonkers. Like, I'm not claiming otherwise. I just don't feel like we've got all the equivalencies to the right wing. Yeah.
No. Okay. It's like, yeah, both sides can have their misinformation here and there, but like as someone who's been both on left and right sides of politics now, it's just I would say like the right wing, personally, I would say it's just full of a lot more bollocks, especially when it comes like the online online creators, essentially, when like they want an audience, so they're going to talk about the most outrageous thing because that's just what works well for their platform at the end of the day.
And certainly as a like organized politics on the right, they've proved this. Like they've done studies on how many lies provable have the right told on the left, and the right were showing. And like I've even heard someone, I think it was Pendulette from Bentala, he was talking about it on his podcast, and he said about a conversation he had with someone, and they go, it's like, yeah, but that's how we get the votes now. And it was just like it was normalized to them. And I think you've got a bigger problem. The thing with the left is, I mean, to be honest with you, we're more likely to just not like because no one's pure enough. We're purely lefty enough. We're just not likely to vote for in enough numbers for one person. That's our issue. Like the worst we're gonna do is be too chilled about it and not get anything done. At least we haven't done the.
It is an issue that's getting people like to actually pay attention to politics. There's an entertainment sort of element in there, which like they're trying to sort of like work out essentially ways to connect with the youth, essentially. And sometimes the way to do that isn't always the most genuine. I mean, look at Andrew Tate.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. But it's kind of that's fascinating. I didn't think you would have come from that space. Like, what do you? Was there kind of like a moment at the beginning and a moment which cracked you from kind of from the right, or got you onto it? And I don't want to say cracked. I don't want to like. I'm not just saying the right in all terms. But what
got me going one side to the other? Essentially, I think.
What got you over to the right, and what got you away from it? Like in the end.
There's no solid thing that really like snapped for me as such, but I think one thing that really kind of got me sort of questioning on my source of what I was listening to is like there's a lot of like right wing media is always about like anti-LGBT stuff. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. Oh, they're mad, whatever. Actually meeting them in person, it's like they're just normal people that want to live ordinary lives. Like that sort of media is always saying, oh, they're looking to take away your rights. They want extra rights, additional free, like special treatment. Like, no, they don't. They just want to live an ordinary life without you bullying the shit out of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's when it comes to it's like I've got some people who disagree with me over the kind of trans issue of children transitioning, and I understand it. I understand their argument. I just want to be genuine about the fact that I understand their argument that to their feelings that is mutilating that child's body. I'm not saying I agree, but I understand their point of view. Yeah, like with children, I understand that caution. To me, I see also the suicide rates of teens who are stopped from transitioning and stopped from living their authentic life. So that seems like a sensible. Like if we could just admit that we both, like on some of the issues, we've both got a valid viewpoint and start from there, as opposed to taking fucking photos on yachts with cigars in our hands, going, I love it when a plan gets together. That's just fucking evil. I don't care which side you're on. That is evil. That's spiking the ball after you've just taken away the rights from someone. Again, there might be an argument that you could make, but that isn't making an argument. That's bullying.
I think with the trans one with the kids, I've certainly had a lot of people like arguing with me on that one, but they don't tend to actually argue like with me. They tend to argue right past me on that one. It's like they say about, oh, they're doing like a mutilation surgery on children. Like, no, you can't do that until you're an adult. So you can go through the puberty blockers, but those are completely reversible. And what isn't reversible is puberty. So
no, I very much simplified the argument. It was just to make the point of like, if you can see where someone's coming from and you can have the conversation, you're more likely to change someone's mind who's reasonable. There are some people they're never going to listen to. They have decided this.
Yeah. It's
but we
why,
can't be that. No, I feel like we've got to show the example of not being that.
It's why I don't exactly do like debate sort of stuff online, like straight like live debates and that, because like you are not going to change the mind of the person you are talking to. All you're doing is just a fight between who's got the most dedicated audience, because you get two big content creators and like I might debate some points that turn out to be false and I would still have followers that would still praise me for it, whereas it could be the same on the other side. Like no one really learns from each other. They're just pointless at the end of the day. So it's why like I might make response videos here and there, but it's not because I'm trying to convince the other person that they're wrong. It's because I know what kind of content they put out there, and I'm putting my sort of response out there for other people to, because you never know who might learn from it. Like for example, I've done plenty of content like LGBTQ plus and all that, but I did one a while ago when it came to say Black Lives Matter. Like whenever it sparks in the media, it always sparks the All Lives Matter sort of crowd as well.
Yeah.
And and one thing I kind of noticed was that no one was really explaining like why it was such a controversial thing there. So I took the time to basically explain, like, right, try and put yourselves in the shoes of a black person. You go through the racism every day, like you know that it exists. We've had comedy out there for years laughing about it because there is a truth to it. You know it's there. So imagine like you go through that on a daily basis for years. You're in your adult life by this point, and when it's finally being discussed about in media, white people come along and say, well, what about us? It's always been our turn on that matter. So that was my to basically try and say, like, try and put it from their perspective there, to try and explain why, like, in itself, it may not be an issue, but you may be contributing to basically silencing the actual conversation there inadvertently. And the video didn't get very many views in the end, but I had a couple of comments saying this was the first video I've seen that's not immediately screamed racist at me. Thank you. And I think that's a win, because it actually got some people to actually understand the point there.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of, this is why I go in with, you see, because it's like when I'm in the pub and someone just starts, even with a flippant comment about like I'm a vegan as well. Who knows what I'm going to go on about first, the veganism or being neurodiverse? Who knows? But anyway, and it should, sorry, that one just makes me laugh about the vegan one, just because someone, like this happened quite a few times where someone's just been talking about some steak they're going to have and some fast food that someone else went for. They've had this whole food conversation. Meat has been mentioned in every dish that they mention. And then they go, oh, what about you? I go, oh, sorry, I'm vegan, so I don't have it. It's like, oh, I thought vegans went on about it. Yeah, thank God you guys are so whisper quiet about your meat eating. You never mention bacon at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I digress. But I've had that kind of flippant comment. That is a sort of good example. And then I've gone and said, well, actually, like you've just had a conversation where you've added like talked about like meat dishes, just veganism. Like a lot of our stuff tends to be vegan chicken, vegan. So the word vegan's in it. It's like hard baked.
It's there. It's kind of like I've always thought about how like Family Guy did a little scene that sort of joked a little bit how like Stewie ironically was the one kind of like oh, why was it all in your face about their gayness? I'm not at all in your face about my straightness, am I? Like, no, you are not.
Yeah.
It's a bit ironic it's coming from Stewie there, but it's the fact, like, yeah, it seems normal to you as a straight person because that's just like what's like seems like the ordinary when you've got like sex is just like everywhere, and it just seems like they've normalized it to be one way. But as soon as you talk about it being the other, so they say, "Oh, why are you always talking about it?" Because you're always talking about it. You just think it's normal on your side, almost like and like media, in like a kids' film where they might have like a gay person, so they get so angry about it. It's like, right, so it's okay when you have straight couples like just kissing and that, but as soon as a man kisses another man, suddenly it's sexual for children. It's like, no, it's like that's not how it works.
It's kind of one of those things, though. I always feel like it's conceived wisdom. So when someone comes in with a line like, all vegans go on about it, I then pick it apart a bit, and then sometimes they're just a dick, and then they'll just repeat what they've said in another term. It's like, oh, you're just an asshole. Fine, bye. But other times, I genuinely love it when they then engage with the conversation, and then I can see those little cracks. I can see someone moving. I don't think by the end of the conversation they're going to be like going to Linda McCartney's, but like it just tends to be that at the end of that conversation they'll realize that vegans aren't all like the stock answer they've just said. Like, I'm a human being, I'm not a stereotype anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting that I just think we can be just as guilty of not engaging in conversation. And when we kind of like shut down a conversation because someone said something dickish, it feels like we're kind of doing the same sin of giving less debate, not more. And it's like, the more we don't try and pick apart what they've said and just go fuck off, the more I feel like it entrenches the view. And then they go, well, yeah, you see, look, that vegan was an asshole. I proved my point. And it's like, it's all like, don't give them any ammunition. And if they are a dickhead, they will look like such more of a dickhead by you listening to them while they've just tried to slam you. They always look like the idiot. It's kind of win-win.
It seems like you can never win sometimes, but I was just thinking, like, I had a decent conversation like sort of veganism with there's a band at Dominum I featured a music video for last year, and I got diagnosed with all sorts of colitis back in November, so it's made a big sort of change on like what I can and can't eat basically. Okay. And I had a conversation with I think it was a drummer about because he's a vegan actually. And it was sort of a little sort of conversation about things that he has that might be useful in my case. Because, I mean, red meats are something you're not really supposed to have. It's different with everybody. But, like, red meats are generally something you should avoid if you have colitis and that. So white meats are fine. But it's like, I'm autistic. And, like, for me, like, one of my things is that I'm very fussy with food. And it seems that a lot of the things that I'm now not really supposed to be eating some of the few things that I actually could eat, which is such a pain in the ass. So
yeah, again, it's like it feels like, because I was diagnosed last year at 45. Sorry, anyone who's watched Squee Fest, I know I've mentioned that fucking loads of times. I just don't like to be repetitive, but it's the first time I'm saying it for me. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, it's like it's all these things that I'm learning still to this day about how my brain works. Like I was having a conversation earlier. I just suddenly realized like certain things on like the New York Times game thing annoy me because I'm so used to trying to pick up rules of social engagement. I see patterns sometimes where there aren't any. So I've made up extra rules so that when, for me, the puzzle breaks those rules, which it never set out, I'm upset. But it's like, but I had no idea that I did that. And now I'm still a bit bothered, but like on a logical level, I know why I'm bothered, and it bothers me less because of that. It's kind of endlessly fascinating, I find. Like the food thing, I'm sure, like, because I've got that with food. I'm some people have said to me before, it's like, well, why don't you just try the crisps as opposed to asking what flavor they are? Because like if it's vinegar, I'm going to be sick. Like vinegar is disgusting. It's vile. Like I have this visceral reaction to it.
For me, it's like, I mean, vinegar I'm okay with, but it's like anything with sauce. Any sort of sauce base, I just will not have it. It just spoils the food for me. It's like taking in already chewed food. In a way, I don't know. Just
I'm particular with sauces, but I can have them. But I feel very uncomfortable if I've left any sauce at the end, if it hasn't been used with the
Mm.
food. And like, I hate when people leave them on plates. I find like even sauces I like, I suddenly find that plate disgusting because it's covered in sauce. I have no idea how that works. I haven't figured that one out yet, but I know why it is at least. So did you always know about your autism, or was that something you found out about later?
Well, I was diagnosed at the age of 4, so I've kind of known as far as I can remember. I can vaguely remember the assessments I was getting at the time as well,
Yeah. Yeah, the assessments stick
at
in
least
my
for a
mind because
while.
I was assessed for dyslexia when I was at school. You'd say autism only, ADHD recently, autism went for assessment. But there's so much which makes sense of it now. But yeah, so like it felt like when I was at school, you were allowed one neurodiversity, and I got dyslexia, so that was it. Like ADHD would probably be more helpful. It was more the avatar I was riding under, but you know, I got the one I got. It's like
Yeah.
it's nice for it to be expanded out now. But yeah, getting onto the asexual side of it. So when did you start kind of like, so you went on a journey through dating? What I'm really loving about this is usually I've researched lots of stuff about my guests, but where you're kind of like most on TikTok, it seems like the internet doesn't cover bios of people on TikTok as well. And so this is kind of really great for me going in blind. So you went through a journey of dating, and which ended up in discovering about your sexuality. Was that how it worked?
So I essentially came out as asexual a few years ago now. I didn't really make a massive deal out of it. I kind of just want to sort of like casually sort of throw it out there. And it was like, it was a weird one because it's not one that's really talked about very much. Like we all know about homosexuality, transgenderism, as it's all like in the media these days. No one's really talking about asexuality. It's like, there's nothing really like, well, I say nothing. There's not as much that there's that controversial about it. You can talk to people like directly about it, and they might just be utterly confused, like not understand how it can be possible to not have sexual attraction. And like, I mean, I've had people who like before I even understood what asexuality even was, when I would discuss with people I've just never really been interested in it, they say, "Oh, it will change when you have sex. Trust me." It's like, no. It's like when for most people when you're a teenager, you have like a lot of people like they have that desire for it. Like
Yeah.
you know, it's like it drives you a little bit. I just never had that, and it's like it's so weird. Like going through those years when like all like your mates are all like obsessed with it, and you're just like pretending you're not gay. Essentially, you're just not interested in sex at all. It's not that yeah. That's like back up for how it was for me. Like I'm 30 now. It's just like I don't know how it is for kids these days, but
Yeah, because it's I mean that's fascinating to me, because it's like the eye opener was for me. I was working for a charity as a counsellor. The reason why I go by Dr. Squee was because I was working as a counsellor, so I didn't want my name on podcasts, and it just I just ran with it. Squee was a nickname, but anyway. And I was working for this charity in Southampton, and part of the work was going into some schools and some unis. They got some work every now and again, and I went into one school, and there was this girl who's talking about her girlfriend, and then she started talking about other girls she'd seen before, and this couple and that couple and this gay couple and this trans couple, or this trans person who's in a relationship. And it was like what was eye-opening to me was like, it's not like I didn't realize gay people existed, but it's just how much cooler it is at school now, how much it's like and I'm not saying, by the way, I don't want to minimize anyone's pain who is going through it. I know kids are still shits, but like, systemically there are improvements which have been made. Culturally there are improvements that have been made, and it was just fascinating to me because I was like, right, that's at least like 10 gay people that have just been mentioned, or LGBTQ. It just opened my eyes to how much it changed in like a couple of generations. It's just really surprising.
I just wonder like how different it would have been for me if my school like talked about that sort of stuff more. Like if I'd heard any sort of mention of asexuality like in like primary school, secondary school years, like I might have actually like questioned it like at the time. But yeah, like I said, like I'm. It was only like a few years ago I actually like kind of like came to the conclusion like maybe I am just ace, and eventually I thought, yeah, I think that pretty much that's yeah. So
how did the like again, if I've got a misnomer here, but I believe that you went through like a period of kind of dating quite a lot. to like before you discovered? What was dating like prior to it? Like, did you at least have a good evening out? Was it just, did it feel uncomfortable? I'm curious. I want to, like you say, it's not talked about as much, so I want to learn.
No, I mean, well, my last relationship was nearly 10 years ago now. It didn't even last very long either. About 2 months maybe. It was only like sort of like one night where we sort of like came back and like would have done it there, but like I just couldn't really get into it like at all, and I just at the time I just blamed it on the booze. But yeah, it wouldn't be until like years later I just kind of realized you're just not into sex. That's completely normal. I don't know. It was never really spoken very much. For a lot of like my early like from teens, like early adult life, essentially, like I just thought I was just odd, like there was something up with me. And then eventually, when I actually hear about asexuality, that's actually a thing. It's like, oh, so there are other people like that as well. And yeah, I didn't know anybody who was, but when I mentioned like how I casually threw it out there in like a Facebook post somewhere, and as soon as I did that, didn't make a massive deal out of it. Just sort of casually threw it out there. I had about 6 people in my inbox saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm ace as well." I was like, "Huh, okay." It's like, yeah.
Like, so does the relationship for you side of it? Because I know it can be different for different ace people. Some like relationships, but just not the sex part. Some don't gravitate towards relationship. You said it'd been 10 years since your last relationship. Is that something that just isn't as of interest to you?
I've tried doing it. I've just been very on and off of like whether I can even be bothered. Like at the moment, I'm not looking for it. I just think like at the moment, I'm just happy to sort of like focus on my own self. At the moment, like I've been quite busy this year with a lot of events and stuff, and I just think like I ain't got time for dating at this point.
Yeah, it's because like it kind of it's interesting to me because like I'm in my mid-40s. Like your drives change a little bit. You're not just led around if you're not asexual. You're not as led around as you were when you were a teenager by certain parts of your anatomy. But that's kind of it's this interesting thing which I've noticed. Sorry, this is going off a tangent a bit, but like it's just after I've been in a relationship, I always feel kind of more needy for a relationship afterwards. And like what I've discovered now is like a few months afterwards, I realize how much more control I've got over my time, how much more I enjoy my own company. I think self-actualizing and realizing so many more things about how my mind works helps that. But it's kind of, it's kind of interesting to me that it kind of changes over the years.
Yeah, I mean, well, breakups for anybody can be difficult. It's for a lot of people, you kind of feel like you've just lost a massive chunk of like your like who you are, your routine, and all that. So it's even like when people have had like maybe abusive partners, they may still miss them in a sense, and it's not abuse they miss. It's the memories, the good memories they had with them, that which like it's really hard to explain. Like I've known people who like I've really tried to help with like really bad relationships like that, and it's been in a couple of times it's been really hard to sort of keep them away from their partner because they'd finally get out, and then within a very short period of time they'd go right back to them again, knowing how horrible a person they are. It's I couldn't explain it, but it's
Yeah, and I think there's a thing when you do have neurodiversity, especially when you know about it, like that you don't feel as bound by kind of social norms. Like I've realized that there's quite a few which I broke already, like veganism and whatever else. Like I never did on some things, but other things it was like, Christmas Day mattered to me. Now it's like because I've got kids from where I was married. They were my stepkids, but they're just my kids as far as I'm concerned. And they're one of their dads would get really kind of funny about Christmas Day, and there would be this kind of they want to spend it with their mum, and I'm just like, guys, is there a day when you're all available? So there's my 2 kids and now my son-in-law, and I go, just a day when you're all available in December. That'd be nice. Like it's a time when people are off, so it's kind of nice to do it around then. But like the day just doesn't matter a shit. But that's so sacrosanct to so many people, and that was so fixed in my head for ages. I feel like sometimes it's almost my like ADHD reckless side with my more kind of meticulously planning autistic side arguing over this one. But I don't know. Do you find the same? Because obviously, with what you do and the way you do it, like you don't fit those norms. You don't seem to be as restrained by them.
I mean, I tend to heavily stick with the schedule. Like, with the calendar on my phone, I just tend to use that for like literally everything. I kind of have to at this point, but I've oddly found like before I did that, I was for a while I was oddly quite good at like mentally sort of keeping note of when I had what happening. But it's like as soon as I started using the calendar, it's like that ability to kind of like went. So I now have to use that calendar for everything now, and it's like there's just a lot I've been doing at the moment. Like I've decided like with Comic Cons, I'm quitting cons for the time being, at least the big ones like London, Birmingham, and that. But because I want to like focus on other things like instead, like this fantasy events, a whole group I get involved with for fantasy events, fantasy shoots.
Are you at Fantasy
went to
Forest?
fantasy forest I'm going to, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna meet up.
Last week I was at a fantasy ball actually in Oxford for my first one, and that was quite surprisingly nice actually. Like it's Oxford, and the venue is awesome. But yeah, but like there's just so much like I've had going on. It's been a busy spring. It's gonna be a busy summer, especially with Fantasy Forest and all. So I need to like keep it on a calendar, and it almost gets annoying like trying to socialize and meet with people. It's like, right, which weekend do I have available? I've got one weekend in 2 months' time. It's like,
yeah, I feel like I've got a really good balance between the two. And again, this involves, guys, this does involve some generalizations, but like basically, the ADHD was sort of like the way I've always described it is like the ADHD was at the steering wheel, dyslexia was next to it, getting blamed for everything, all this crazy driving, and then autism was tied up at the back gagged. Since I got onto the medication, it felt like the ADHD had just calmed down a little bit. It gone in the back, like, you know, they were taking turns driving. You know, you're really good at these kind of roads. You're really good at these ones. Like, just stick to your own lanes. And so it just created this kind of bounce within my head. It's like the ADHD was just a crazy amount of ideas just always going through my brain. I'm trying to focus on every conversation around me, that dog barking 3 miles away. Like, you know, it's trying to capture every track, and there's a ridiculous amount of tracks happening. And it's like the medication just allowed it to, like, it was almost like the autism to catch up with it. Again, it's generalizations, but it's like the autism sort of represents organization to me because I've never had that side. And as soon as I could process all these crazy ideas and like park some of them and decide to follow some of them, I could organize them. And I had this, like, as I say, these kind of traits which are always I knew were stereotypically autistic came to the surface. And it's like, oh yeah, I've always been doing that. It's just it's been so buried. It's endlessly fascinating to me. So I realized that isn't a question at all. It's just me running. I did want to talk LARPing with you though, sir. You're a LARPer like myself. Which system do you go to? Tell us about your LARPing. What's your current character?
At the moment, I largely mainly go to Empire. I've been going since end of 2023. I was in the league, but my group that I was with, they basically disbanded. They were just new characters, new things. So I transferred into Dawn, essentially. So my character is my first character still. He hasn't died yet. He was circus performer, essentially, with this like small troupe, very percussion based sort of group. Same character, but now I've moved into Dawn, the more Arthurian knight sort of nation, and so I now become more of a jester. But long story short, I've become a bit more of a jester knight, getting a lot more involved in the combat now, and sticking with a good team essentially at Lavender Court. So I joined a bit of the combat at first without any armor. Essentially, I was basically just asked like, am I actually any use in battle right now? Because I've got no armor for it. I have a weapon, but I said, yeah, it's all right. Just don't go like in the front line of battle. Just hang back. Maybe you can help the physic here and there, like helping them retrieve bodies, helping defend them when they're trying to heal people, that sort of thing. So, yeah, okay. So it'll be all right. Just stick with your team, and it'll be absolutely fine. It should be fine. That battle was known now as a Sweet Glade Massacre. 150 players. 150 players
Anyone who's
lost
watching,
their
150
characters.
is a crazy number to die with. I'm assuming you were going to say.
Yeah, it's I don't know like a normal sort of number, but it was.
I try and
like,
normally explain every now and again. Like there are about 4 factions. Like I'm talking about CP here, but in that there's 4 or 5 factions, maybe 6 now. I don't know something like that. And there's usually like a handful dead per faction. To get 130 is about 100 over. Like 13 maybe. I like you. I don't know exactly, but you can tell by amount per faction that it's not 130.
Yeah, it's like there's hundreds that go out there. It's like 4 nations, I think, go to the battle, and then the other 4 can go for what's called monstering, where you can kind of like play as an enemy NPC, just so you can get involved in the fighting without risking your character actually dying, essentially.
And they make it affordable for them for the crew because they can't hire that many monsters. Yeah,
literally, yeah. So yeah, 150 players, characters dead, 70 of which were my nation, because we were the main nation that actually stayed to fight. I barely made it out of there alive, so it was like my character motivation is like I want to become better. I want to become a more effective fighter to fight alongside this new family that's just accepted me in. And if we fail, then at least can die alongside them, essentially. So I've got a full set of armor now, but which is the mask now. But I've actually been going in as a knight with the armor, but with a jester mask to have a bit of sense of humor out on the field, because it's like it's unusual. But it's almost like sort of terrifying at the same time. Me just like sort of staring through the mask with the jingly bells going off, and I'm just there with a hammer, essentially ready to hit you with. Essentially, it's such a weird, random concept, but it works.
And sneak up the enemy must be a nightmare. Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Yeah, but like I've gone for something in my nation for my group now, because in my nation we have something called a test of metal, where you set a task for yourself to complete, and if you are successful in that task, if it's approved by your earl, essentially, if you complete that task, you then get to earn the rank of a noble, have like sir in your name, essentially. So I've had mine made official, where I want to pull off a prank in battle against the enemy forces, and apparently I have to make my earl laugh in the process. Now, it's going to be dangerous, it's going to be risky doing something like that, but I think that's the entire point, because the whole thing of like my nation of at Dawn is that we do everything like for glory, essentially. So like there's no glory in like, so I think one of our guys suggested, like, why not do like a prank against each of your housemates, whatever. So there's no risk in that. So like I want there to be a risk. I want there to be some actual glory in there. I want people to be whispering about it like afterwards, like not just pop some random confetti at some random guy in the field. I want it to be a big one. I don't know what the prank will be just yet. I've yet to work that bit out, but I want it to be a big thing that's going to have people whispering about it afterwards. If it's any less than that, I will not accept it.
Yeah, there was it reminds me of one which we managed to get some new rules added to the rule book. Essentially, they said we were monstering, and they go, right, you've got to get from one end of that field to the other, based on a kind of like multiplier, basically, depending on how many from your group make it across and how many die, we're going to use that percentage for how many people are on the battle. So there's X amount meant to be in their force. So the same percentage of that force are represented. So say there was 100 like of us there, 1,000 there, they use the same percent. But me and some of the guys go, yeah, are there any rules about what we could do when we were going across? No, just try and go across. Yeah, whatever. Like, the ref was like trying to get everyone ready, so they didn't have any time for our questions. So we're like, right, guys, there's a ritual circle halfway through there. So when we get there, for anyone who doesn't know, so the ritual circle is just a place where you can incant magical items. There's lesser or greater ones which have different levels of power. So we get into this one, and we go and we start saying these kind of ritual words and going like, right, is the circle close to this ref? They go, what? You're monsters. I go, yeah. So we stepped into the circle, 4 of us. Is the circle closed? I go, yeah, I guess so. If you've done the thing, yeah. And he immediately, so on earpiece to the rest of the crew. It's like, right, we've got some monsters. They've gone to a ritual circle. Apparently, someone called Evil Ref had to be taken off the toilet. He ran off the loo to try and sort this out because no one had an idea how this worked, basically. And we're in the middle of, in the meantime, we're kind of sacrificing limbs from some of us. We kill one of our number as a sacrifice to the gods to basically beam us outside of the field, so we're protected. By the time the refs get back, all the ritualists on site have gathered around. They've told us, "Oh right, how many hit points do you have?" Like, what? We're monsters. Like, yeah. So say you're starting out of 20 points, which, again, to explain to people, like if you get 20 points, you've got to pick your skills, which have got different point values. So 2 points for a sword, 5 points for heavy armor, less for light armor, that kind of thing. So we had to just say a number of ritual points we had. So it was like 10, 5, 3, whatever, Yeah, right. Between you, you've got 20. So they've got to have 3 times that number to break into the circle. So they start forming what they called a ritual wedge, which was one person at the front and they hands-on going back. And they had, as I say, it was pretty much every ritualist on site. They had us dead 20 times over. But as soon as they kind of got the wards of this circle down, and they're still saying, "Oh, was that successful?" Of course it fucking was. You've got everyone here. It goes down. And we start stepping instinctively. We all step towards, with our swords out. And half of them take a step back. You can see these clanky guys who are around them kind of as their security going, "Oh, get the fuck in there." There's nothing to be scared of. You think that nothing. And they just minced us in a couple of seconds. But I was just so pleased with that little step back. Like you say, it's the thing that people are going to be talking about days later.
Yeah, it's got to be either that or nothing at the end of the day. So yeah, I've got all the time in the world to think of what my prank's going to be. I want to make sure it's not going to piss off the staff. It's not going to piss off people as a character. I don't want to upset people. I'm not going to use any paint. If I use confetti, then I'll use flower petal based stuff so that it's biodegradable, and I'm not going to have to tidy it up. But we'll see, because I want it to be funny and I want it to be big, essentially. So I part of me wants to get a dog toy or something, just attach it to a bow and arrow, just shoot it overhead.
For a while they had comedy weapons in CP, and it was there was this guy dressed as a chef, and he was told these will have no point value, but he was throwing he was going pie cheese, and he was doing calls they had so you can shout silver, and it's got a special ability. It calls basically denote what kind of powers your weapons got. So he's just shouting these out for no reason apart from just pie is cheese, which was hilarious. It was great. So we're nearly at the end of our time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I did want to shout out one of your videos. I watched quite a few of them before now. The one which I saw really made me laugh, just because it's a concept I never thought about. And to mine something which I hadn't thought about from the Bible, I think it's pretty good. It was you talk about God coming from the dead, and now he's this big, and it's just the song was how fucking rude. I never thought about that. It's he died for our sins, and sorry, that was it. Sorry, he died for our sins, and then he came back again, basically negating dying for our sins.
Oh, it was one of those. It was an audio. It was trending audio that was going around at the time. That was rude. That was really fucking rude. It's just some of the videos I've seen in response to that one were just brilliant, dark. But there was one saying when your husband promises to be with you forever, then he goes and then he dies. That was rude. Just, Or a couple with their dogs. When you fly them all the way to fly them all the way abroad and they die. That was rude. So I just thought, how about Jesus when he dies but just stay dead? Well, that was rude.
But it makes sense. It's he died for our sins. So if he's come back to life, then he it doesn't count. Sure.
Yeah, I'll take that back.
On the logical level, I just think it's really clever. Anyway, I was just going to end this by we've been getting people to hopefully we've had loads of them because we haven't had many of them so far. But if you're watching before Squee Fest, please send in your hashtag Think Different. I decided that's a hashtag. I think I saw on one video and I apparently plumbed into it. Anyway, hashtag Think Different, and just end the phrase I think differently, because you can write whatever you want, any social media. If I'm on it, everything apart from X, basically, I think I'm on. Tag me in if I'm on it. It'd be great. But sir, TikTok Jesus, throughout all the things we've discussed, how do you think different? Or differently, you can say in the phrase. I got room for the English on this one.
I don't know how to shorten it. I've always actually kind of thought of the quote from Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it's important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding everyone, the elements around you, help you become whole.
Sir, come on, like it ain't gonna get better than that. Thank you so much.
I've always lived by that, so.
Thank you for being here. Thank you very much to Mage and our friend Gareth for setting this up. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a lovely chat. Can't wait to see you at Fantasy Forest and catch up over a campfire and a couple of drinks.
I hope so.
In the meantime, guys, thank you very much. And yeah, I know future/past me gets complicated. Timey-wimey here. He'll have already said it, but thank you so much for everyone who donated during Squee Fest, for everyone who's donated so far in current time as of recording, and future people as well. It's been great. This has been the biggest event we've done yet. The charity were just so wonderful, offering me experts and stuff. So thanks, guys. I'm Dr. Squee. That was my show. In a world where you can be truly anything, please be kind. And thank you to TikTok Jesus. Actually, sorry, it should be TikTok Jesus be praised. Sorry.